Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We are back. Continuing on with our look at the triennial Torah portion. This week we'll be looking at Numbers. Numbers. We'll be looking at some highlights between chapters 7, 8, and 9 in the book of Numbers. We want to go ahead and pull up. Let's see where we'll begin over here. We're going to just go ahead and read Numbers 7 down through 17. 1 through 17. Let me pull that up on the screen here. One moment. One second here. Numbers. Get right into this. Numbers 7. 1. Okay, here we go. All right, read down through verse 17. Nice and loud.
And it came to be when Moshe finished setting up the dwelling place, that he anointed it and set it apart and all its furnishings, as well as the slaughter place and all its utensils. Thus he anointed them and set them apart. And the leaders of Israel, heads of their fathers' houses, who were the leaders of the tribes and over the ones registered, drew near. And they brought their offering before Yahweh, 6 covered wagons and 12 cattle, a wagon for every 2 of the leaders, and for each one a bull. And they brought them near before the dwelling place. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, accept these from them, and they shall be used in doing the service of the tent of appointment. And you shall give them to the Levites, each one according to his service. And Moshe took the wagons and the cattle and gave them to the Levites. He gave 2 wagons and 4 cattle to the sons of Gershon according to their service. And he gave 4 wagons and 8 cattle to the sons of Merari according to the service, under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. But the sons of Kehath he gave none, because theirs was the service of the set-apart objects which they bore on their shoulders. And the leaders brought the dedication offering of the slaughter place in the day it was anointed. So the leaders brought their offering before the slaughter place. And Yahweh said to Moshe, let them bring their offering 1 liter each day for the dedication of the slaughtered place. And the one who brought his offering on the first day was Nahshon, son of Aminadab, from the tribe of Yehudah. And his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering. 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old, as an ascending offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a slaughtering of peace offerings, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Nahshon, son of Aminadab.
Okay, very good. Very good. So we see over here, looking at the text, we see that the tabernacle over here is being consecrated. So we see that the tabernacle is being consecrated, and so it becomes necessary for all of the tribes, the leaders of each tribe, each one of the 12 tribes, to come and bring their offering in their dedication to the tabernacle. Okay, so we see over here some interesting things over here. If we continue on through the chapter, what we see is on the first day we saw here the one elder, the one leader from the tribe comes and gives, and this is going to continue on for 12 consecutive days. And so one interesting thing that we just take note of, you see over here in verse 3, that we see that a bull is brought. A bull is brought. And, every time we see the bull, or I guess something King James might say, the bullock or the ox that's brought, that's always given to represent a greater part. Like, individuals wouldn't necessarily bring a bull, well, unless you're talking about the high priest, which he kind of represents the nation, or the kings later on. But again, here, these representatives of these whole tribes are bringing this bullock as a part of the offering. And so when we look, if we was to go all the way down, like say, if we look at the chapter here, if we go all the way down, 18, if we stopped at 17, 18 is the second day, 24 is the third day, right? It just keeps on going, the same offering, the different offerings being brought. And so if we go all the way down to I want to look at verses, the end of the chapter here, just to kind of pull this all together here. We're going to connect what's going on in the 7th chapter with the next chapter, but I want to just read the end. If we go down to 84, verse 84, because like I said, up until then we have these 12 days that go by, and the 12 tribes all bringing their exact same offering. If we go down to verse 84, we'll come to kind of the culmination of what's going on over here in this chapter. If we could just read from 84 down to the end.
This was the dedication of the slaughtered place from the leaders of Yisrael. When it was anointed, 12 silver dishes, 12 silver bowls, 12 gold ladles. Each silver dish was 130 shekels, each bowl 70 shekels. All the silver of the vessels was 2,400 shekels, according to the shekel of the set apart place. The 12 gold ladles filled with incense was 10 shekels each, according to the shekel of the set apart place. All the gold of the ladles was 120 shekels. All the cattle for the ascending offering were 12 young bulls. The rams, 12. The male lambs, a year old, 12. With their grain offering, and male goats as a sin offering, 12. And all the cattle for the slaughtering place, for the slaughtering of peace offering, were 24 bulls. The rams, 60. The male goats, 60. The lambs, a year old, 60. This was the dedication of the slaughter place after it was anointed. And when Moshe went into the tent of appointment to speak with him, he heard the voice of one speaking to him from above the lid of atonement that was on the ark of the witness, from between the two cherubim. This he spoke to him.
Okay, very good. So, one thing that we want to notice over here as we get ready to go and look at what happens in the next chapter, which is right after over here, right? They do all of these things. The last verse of this chapter says, "Thus he spoke to him." It's a cliffhanger. He's getting ready to tell you what he spoke to him in chapter 8. But we see over here that in the dedication of the tabernacle, there was a great offering that was given. There was a great sacrifice that was made on behalf of the people, in preparation for the use of this tabernacle. And so I just want to take note. We're going to come back to this thought as we continue, but just to kind of reiterate that as this the tent of appointment, the tabernacle was beginning to be put into action. There was a great sacrifice that was given, that was representative of each of the tribes, from the very beginning. Okay, all right. So we're gonna keep on going over here because we're gonna get back to this idea over here after we look at some more. But let's go to the next chapter and the first verse, and let's just read the first 3 verses here.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to Aaron, and say to him, when you ascend to trim the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light in front of the lampstand." And Aaron did so. He set up the lamps to face toward the front of the lampstand, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And this is the work of the lampstand, beaten work of gold, from its base to its blossoms. It is beaten work according to the pattern which Yahweh had shown Moshe, so he made the lampstand.
Okay, very good. So, one thing that's very interesting, the way that these scriptures are put together is interesting. First of all, we see just the dedication of the tabernacle. There's many things in the tabernacle itself. All of the implements, the Ark of the Covenant, the menorah, the table of showbread, the altar of incense, the brazen altar, the laver. All these things are inside of the tabernacle. But we see over here one thing that it brings out, which I'm saying the reason that it's bringing out is there's some type of importance or significance. because it could have gave us a list right over here of all of the things, right? But it scripture inspiration decides to speak about the menorah. And so first of all, when we look over here in verse number 4, let's talk about this for a minute. In verse 4, click on it, we see a word right here, which is pattern. That word in the Hebrew is mar'eh, which is a derivative of the word ra'ah, which means to see. This word means to view. Also an appearance, the thing that's seen, whether real, a shape, especially if it has some comeliness, has all of these different thoughts. But we want to pay attention to the way that it's translated over here with this word here, pattern, right? Moses was given a pattern of something, and then he went and followed through with the pattern that he was given. And so if we think about this word here, let me get this this word here, pattern. Let's see here. This is a pattern, an original or model proposed for imitation, right? A pattern, archetype, exemplar, that which is to be copies or imitated, either in things or in actions, as a pattern of a machine, a pattern of patience. Messiah was the most perfect pattern of rectitude, patience, and submission ever exhibited on earth. We were talking a little bit about Yeshua as a pattern, right? And so when we follow the pattern, it looks like the thing that we do looks like the pattern, right? It looks like something else. And so when we think about what Moses was given, he was given a pattern of something that was in the heavenlies. And then he made a physical representation of the pattern that he saw, that he was given from the Most High. Let's see if we go over here to, if we go up to Hebrews 8, verse, oh sorry, that's 6. Hebrews 8, verse 5. Okay, read for us. Let's start on 4 and 5. Let's see.
Hebrews 8, verse 4. For if indeed we were on earth, he would not be a priest, since there are priests who offer the gifts according to the Torah, who serve a copy and shadow of the heavenly, as Moshe was warned when he was about to make the tent. For he said, see that thou make all according to the pattern shown you on the mountain.
Okay, very good. So again, Moshe was giving a pattern on the mountain that he had to, make again in the flesh, in the physical. And so when we think about, we also know that in Romans, I think it's Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7, let me see what verse it is. Romans chapter 7. 7:14. Read 7:14.
Romans chapter 7. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin.
The Torah, the law, is spiritual. So we got this thing that's telling us to do these physical things. Moshe had this physical law that told him to build this physical ark and this tabernacle and all of these things. But we also know that this law is spiritual, right? This law is spiritual. So we have to be able to think about what it's trying to teach us from a spiritual perspective, even though it's giving us physical things, right? And so one thing that I wanted to think about actually is, again, when we think about what just happened in terms of the dedication of the tabernacle, and then we see that it's the menorah is the thing, the lamp, the thing that makes there be light, is this thing that is highlighted with the very next words that are spoken, and it caused me to really want to think about this idea that until we tap in to the Spirit, until we understand things from a spiritual perspective, we're not able to see. We're not able to see this law, this Torah, that's spiritual, right? Mm-hmm. And so we see over here with all of those 80 whatever verses over in Numbers chapter 7, this process that happened, right? This process that was consecration and dedication and differentiation and sacrifice. Yeah, all of these things over here. And then after all that stuff happened, then the Most High spoke to Moshe. Right? There was this 12-day process. There was this 12-day process that happened where all the people brought forth their offerings, where they brought forth all of their sacrifices. They made this, they consecrated and dedicated not only themselves, but this tabernacle. And then once that happened, then the Most High spoke to the people. And so again, thinking about this idea of tapping in to the Spirit, right? That's how they tapped in, right? That's how they was able to draw nigh into the one who is a spirit. and that's by this process of this this consecration, this dedication, this differentiation, and this sacrifice, right? But when we look around at people in these days and times, people are out here.
They are.
They're out here blind to the Spirit, and they stay saying, he said this, or he said that. And they ain't did none of the process. None of the process. There's been no consecration. There's been no dedication. There's been no differentiation. There's been no sacrifice. Let me get this out your way.
They're skipping all the steps.
They're skipping all the steps.
They want to go straight to the finish line.
Straight to the finish line. Meanwhile, they had all of that over there. 12 days of it, as a matter of fact. And then it said, the Most High spoke to Moses and told him what to say to the people. After the 12 days. After all that extensive sacrifice. Here, let's look over here real quick. Let's go. We're in Romans. Let's just go over to 1 Corinthians. It's right over 1 Corinthians 2. Verse 9 to the end. What that say?
It says, but it has been written, eye has not seen, and ear has not heard, nor have entered into the heart of man what Elohim has prepared for those who love him.
Okay, well, let's just look at this verse right here. It said, these things have not entered into the heart of man. Man is unfathomable to man what it is that Elohim has prepared for those who love him. It's interesting that he kind of put a qualifier on there over there. Those that love him. Those whom love him.
Mm-hmm.
He got something that's prepared for those people. Whoever that is. Whoever he talking about. Those people that love him.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that's prepared for them. And in the heart of man is not to be found. They don't know. In the heart of man, you don't. It has not even entered into your heart what it is, the things that he got ready and waiting for this people, whoever they are, who love him.
And I think Yeshua said, "If you love me,
that's
keep my
He
commandments."
did say that. So we can say then, what we could say is that the ones that's keeping his commandments, perhaps, there's something to prepare for those people.
Mm-hmm.
According to this verse right here.
1 + 1 = 2 to me.
That's what it say, right? Okay, keep on going. Verse 10. What does that say?
But Elohim has revealed them to us through his Spirit.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a second. There was a thing that was hidden that that man wasn't privy to. Not even in their hearts. But he revealed that thing to us, he said, through his Spirit. Us being context, he's talking to people that are believers in Messiah. And then what did it say?
It says his Spirit, for the Spirit searches all matters, even the depths of Elohim.
Okay, and so already over here looking at these verses over here, we see that there's things that some people can't see. There's things that some people can't see or hear. But he's revealed these things through his Spirit to us, he said. verse 11.
It says, For who among men knows the thoughts of a man except the spirit of the man that is in him? So also the thoughts of Elohim no one has known except the spirit of Elohim.
Okay, so when you are dealing with kind of your carnality, right? Because when he's talking about the spirit of a man, he said, for who among men knows the thoughts of a man except for the spirit of the man that is in him? And so that is really not, that's not talking about that's talking about manly things, earthly things, the things that men think about. When you're on that wavelength, you know those things. We could go out here and talk to some people about some worldly things who are worldly themselves, and they, they know all about those things. And so, but he's saying, so also the thoughts of Elohim, no one has known except the spirit of Elohim. And so if we, just like how men could know about manly things, only the Most High knows about most highly things. Right? It's the spirit of Elohim. And so there's a separation that exists. And verse 12, what does that say?
It says, and we have received not the spirit of the world, but the spirit that is from Elohim, in order to know what Elohim has favorably given us, which we also speak not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the set apart spirit teaches, comparing spiritual matters with spiritual matters.
Okay, very good. So we see again is a further differentiation between the things of man, the things of the world, and the things that are of Elohim, right? And so there's a differentiation, a separation in understanding, right? Those in the world have not received the things from the spirit that is from Elohim. It takes the spirit of Elohim, the Ruach HaKodesh, to be able to know the things of the spirit. Okay? 14.
But the natural man does not receive the matters of the spirit of Elohim, for they are foolishness to him, and he is unable to know them because they are spiritually discerned.
He don't see it. He don't understand it. It's foolishness to him. The natural man, the one who has the spirit of the world, right? His knowledge can only go as far as this physical realm, right? And so that one, when you speak spiritual matters to a carnal person, is foolishness. He don't. It's. Let's see what it is. Silliness, absurdity, right? It's nothing, right? He scoffs at it. Okay, but verse 15, we'll just finish it out for 15 and 16.
But he who is spiritual discerns indeed all matters, but he himself is discerned by no one. For who has known the mind of Yah? Who shall instruct him? But we have the mind of Messiah.
Okay, so when, again, thinking about where we're at over here, dealing with numbers and seeing where it's going, in terms of understanding the scriptures from a spiritual perspective, the scriptures began to speak to us about this light right after it gives us the dedication of the tabernacle. And so, we started thinking about people who think that perhaps, and I'm just going to say that they think that they've heard from the Most High, when we see over here that these people who, if you not operating according to the spirit of Elohim, you don't hear from the Most High. You're not able to understand the things that he has to say. And so when we look over here, again, back to Numbers, the menorah is what allows the priest to see as he serves in the office of the priest. The light, right? The light that shines, that can never go out, and nobody but the priest sees it. So it's in this dark place where he's got to go in there and do things. He's got to deal with this table of showbread. He's got to deal with the altar of incense, right? He's got to move around in that space in there, but he needs the light to be able to see it, right? Then this light has to always be burning. And so again, these things are spiritually discerned. So what's that helping for us to see and understand? Why is it talking to us about this light? And it's and also thinking about the fact that it's so interesting, and we think about the fact that he needs that light to do his work. And what's that got to do with people being able to discern spiritual things? What's Proverbs 6:23 say?
For the command is a lamp, and the Torah a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life.
Okay, and so when we say that the Most High told for us to do this or that, he's guiding our steps. He's saying that he wants for us to move this way or that way. He's going to be dealing with us according to his law, statutes, and commands. He's going to be dealing with us according to his character. The way that we're able to move in accordance with the Most High is going to be in accordance with the law. It's going to be in accordance with his character. Over here, his character is called, his Torah is called a light, which also, by the way, is what we're able to use to be able to move and do what we need to do, right? The Torah, the law of the Most High, gives us our instructions for life. It says, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. That's the Torah. And so just like the priest had the menorah, that was the thing that allowed him to be able to see in an otherwise dark place and do his work that he was called to do. The Torah in our life also provides a light for us and allows for us to be able to do the things that the Most High has for us to do. Mm-hmm. But adversely, we can't do none of that if we don't know who the Most High is and his character and the things that he is prone or has a propensity to be doing.
Right. If anyone has a child, they're going to instruct their child on how to walk, behave, do what they need to do, right?
Yeah.
And the Most High is no different. So he's literally, instructing his children, his people, what they need to do
Yeah.
in order to follow in the ways he wants them to go.
Yeah. Yes.
And anybody who says that, there ain't no rules, there ain't, all that's done away with, it don't make no sense.
They can't be speaking on behalf of the Most High. They can't be speaking on behalf of the Most High. Because he showed us who he was. He showed us what he likes. He showed us the way that he behaves. He gave us all of the things. And so, the way that he moves, it has to be in this way. And so we're able to discern who's who, actually. Because he already has shown us, that his Torah is in fact a light to our feet. And then he showed it to us first in action in Numbers chapter 8, 1 through 4, when he talks about this lighting of this lampstand. After this point of consecration and dedication of the tabernacle. Let's look at another verse over here. Let's look at, first of all, we need another Bible. Let's look at Sirach 3, chapter 3. (24 and 25).
It says, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Without eyes thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge thereof, that thou hast not.
There's a connection over here with, deception and opinions and evilness and the absence of light. Without eyes, thou shalt want light. You're in a position where you want light, but you have no eyes to see. But we're talking about being in this place where we haven't tapped into the spirit, right? So that we're not able to see, right? We haven't pressed into the Most High and the things that he likes, so that we can be able to have eyes to see and ears to hear. Let's look at another level to this over here. If we look at go back to Numbers and look at 5 through 13. Let's go back to Numbers chapter 8, verse 5 down through verse 13.
And y'all spoke to Moshe, saying, take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and you shall cleanse them, and do this to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of sin offering on them, and they shall shave all their body, and shall wash their garments and cleanse themselves. And shall take a young bull with its grain offering and fine flour mixed with oil, while you take another young bull as a sin offering. And you shall bring the Levites before the tent of appointment, and you shall assemble all the congregation of Israel, the children of Israel. And you shall not bring the Levites before Yah, and the children of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. And Aaron shall wave the Levites before Yah, a wave offering from the children of Israel. So shall they be for doing the service of Yah. And the Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the young bulls, and one shall be prepared as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering to Yah, to make atonement for the Levites. And you shall have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons and wave them, and then wave them a wave offering to Yah.
Okay, very good. So we see over here with these priests over here. So with the people, all from their representatives brought their offering. The priests, it says over here, were cleansed, right, with this water of purification. There was a cleansing process that happened, with these priests who, were going to be doing the service of the priests. And so, again, when we think about all of these things, together, it's interesting that, again, when we have people who think that there's, that there could be steps that could be skipped.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These ones who was the closest to the Most High, they, there was a cleansing process that they had to go through in order to do the things that they were supposed to be doing. Right? They shaved their whole bodies off, washed their dirty clothes, and made themselves clean so that they could go and do this work for the Most High.
What's interesting is there's probably a couple cultures that do it, but that made me think about monks. They shave their whole body when they dedicate themselves to go. So it's interesting that I'm thinking you're a completely bald person. You know what I mean? Like when you start out,
Yeah, right. It's like a transitional point.
Yeah.
Where they're transforming from one kind of state to another. Mm-hmm. And so they're starting all over again. They take everything all the way off, the dirt and the hair and everything. They shave themselves down. They wash themselves up, and then they go ahead and start doing the thing. Like it's this transition point that they go through, this cleansing process.
Yeah, it's like because it's like on a spiritual, level 2 is like they shedding everything, everything that was them is cut off. It was just shed off,
Yeah, right, because they probably had some regular clothes that they wore before that, but they over here they put on these priest clothes that they wear to do that. And so there's a whole thing that they do with this transition that they're making in order to begin to do this thing unto the Most High. And so how much more so do we say whenever we come to the Most High? There's got to be a cleansing. There's got to be this rededication. There's got to be this taking off of all of this old, dirty stuff, and allowing for ourselves to be cleansed so that we could put on some clean stuff, and to move about in that. And then not to mention, again, with the sacrifice. The Levites, they're bringing these young bulls as an offering. They're bringing a great sacrifice, as part of their cleansing.
Can I read the scripture real quick?
Go ahead, please. Here, let me pull it up. What is it?
So, 2 Chronicles 7:14. So it just talks about the process in the scripture, and it makes it clear. It says, "And my people, whom my name is called, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their evil ways, then I shall hear from heaven." So then I shall hear from heavens and forgive their sins and heal their land. And so there's a process that is throughout the whole scripture, from the Torah portion to the new covenant. It's constant, and that's the format. You have to do this part first, and then the other stuff comes.
Yeah, he got this people that's called by his name. Whenever they're able to get to the place when they're able to humble themselves. Humbling yourselves. When you giving the best that you got, the thing that you saved for yourself, you giving this away to the Most High. You humbling yourselves.
And coming out of that satanic spirit of pride and,
oh my goodness.
and puffed up.
Wow. Right?
And then turning from their evil ways, that's obedience. That's turning from lawlessness.
And then after you do all of those things, then he hears from you. And so we just saw that. The Most High told them, first of all, to make this place, to put this place together. He set up all of the people who's going to take it up and put it down. He set up the priests. He has all of these people together. Now they sit up there and they consecrate this thing, and they bring all of their offerings, all of their silver things and big animals and all of these things. That's this right over here. It's a process. It's a process of consecration and dedication and differentiation. We can't be like these other peoples over here. We can't be like these other peoples. And also be a people that's called by the name of Yahweh. There's a distinction and a differentiation between us and them. And so then, like it says over here, once you've done all of those things over here, now he says, I'll hear you from the heavens and forgive the people's sins and heal the land. Now, once there was this 12-day thing that went, the Most High says, okay, now come over here, Moses. Let me tell you what to do next. And then the first thing he do is tell him how the priest is supposed to be able to see in this place that's naturally dark, which is in this tent, the holy place.
Wait, that's in Numbers 8? That's where we at?
Yeah. The
First
first thing he do is say, okay, you got this thing. You ready to work for me? You got to be able to see first. Light this menorah up.
But I missed the part where it said that you had to go away for 12 days. Or
That was chapter 7.
Okay.
That was chapter 7 where the dedication of the tabernacle, that's before you came in, the dedication of the tabernacle was this 12-day process when each tribe brought their offering one day at a time for 12 days. And then, after all of that, he says, Moses, let me talk to you. Let me tell you what to do. And then he tells him how to see. People out here wanting to do and be with the Most High, but they can't see nothing.
Yeah.
Because you never went through the process of approaching the Most High the way he said.
That's what I'm saying. And people just they can run up.
They can run up.
They think like when Moses on the mount, they didn't just run up the mount with Moses.
Nah.
I'm listening with you too, Moses. It was a process. Like
No, it don't work that way. It
Right.
does not work that way. And
So-
people,
so-
go ahead.
So people, because we had a couple, young ones come into the situation, and they start talking about they hearing from the Most High, something different than what you tell them.
Yeah,
You remember them situations where they ain't even off the milk yet,
yeah,
and the Most High telling them this, but they acting like that.
yeah.
right.
Right. And so there's a discrepancy. There's a discrepancy with these types of things.
Right.
Because it's necessary for there to be a cleansing.
Right.
It's necessary for there to be these offerings, a humbling of oneself. Right? These things are necessary ingredients to being able to hear and discern from the Most High.
And that's crazy that it comes up again every week. I'm like, it's a process. Like, I personally feel like you gotta do some type of fast. Like, if you serious,
Yeah.
because I'm like the quickest way to develop a relationship with the Most High and the Messiah, and the Spirit is you gotta
Deny
fast.
yourself.
Yeah, you gotta. I'm like, you gotta do fast so from the world. Deny yourself from this world, cause and I'm like, you can see the people who don't do that because they don't know. They ego and they pride pop back in, and it's like, wait, you didn't see, you don't know what it's about,
Yeah.
My thing is, if you ain't in this, and something in you got you turning away and saying, "Oh well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." That's something in you that needs to be purged, because you can't just come to the Most High any kind of way. It shows you. It tells you like this. These are the steps.
Yeah.
If you think about the kingdom of heaven, do you think the heavenly host is just doing whatever they want? And the one that did do what was trying to do something different, he got cast out with all of those who followed him.
Yeah.
And so the kingdom of heaven and that kingdom come on earth as it is, that means something. There's a pattern in heaven. And it's supposed to be carried out on earth.
Yeah.
And if you ain't fitting in that format,
And so, all right, so you done said something right there. Hold on, let me talk about this, and then I'm gonna say what you said. And so, over here, when you talk about if you're gonna humble yourself, you're gonna bend your knee. You're gonna humiliate, vanquish yourself now. Yourself, bring yourself down low into subjection, under humble subdue. This is what got to go on the inside of you, so that, and pray, all of that stuff, and pray, and seek His face. And so when you think about the idea of fasting, right? It's a way that you humble your flesh, because your flesh all day wants to be fed. And not just food, I'm saying with things. And so we have to get to a place when we're saying no to our flesh and our carnality, and yes to the Most High. And so, these things are, I'm saying that it's exemplified for us when we look at Numbers 7 and 8, because, these people are giving the Most High the best. They're giving him the best that they have as an offering, which is a picture of humbling yourself to the Most High. These things that they would use for their own sustenance, they're giving to him. Which you could even say that's just showing you a picture of fasting. Because this thing that you sat up here and grew and made for yourself to eat, you're not eating it. You're giving it to the Most High. You're abstaining from it and you're giving it to the Almighty. But the other thing is, if we go over here, Matthew chapter 6, I think. Oh yeah, it's right here. Hold on, I got some things you just gotta look at it. Some things just gotta be in the King James.
Yeah, easier to look at. Right, that's it.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, read this right here, starting at verse 9.
It says, "After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven."
Okay, hold that. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. How you supposed to know what his will is on the earth if you don't know what his will is in heaven? If you don't know what he wants to be done, then you can't know what he's saying then. You got to know what he says in order to know what his will is, in order for it to be done in earth as it is in heaven.
That seems pretty fair. That seems about right.
Don't it?
That's
You got to know.
That's logical.
You got to know what his will is in order for it to even be done. And so that's we talking about tapping into the Spirit. If you, so that you're able to even understand what he might have to say to you. If somebody come over and talk about, well, the Most High told me to sneak into the neighbor's house and kill them in their sleep.
No,
No, he did. No, he did not tell you to do that. He did not tell you.
That's what people be saying too. They really do that.
He did not tell you that. I could just say it.
Right.
I could just say he didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Or let's keep it simple. The Most High don't mind me wearing these clothes that are exposing my body parts.
Please. No, he didn't. No, he did not tell you that. He don't mind. He didn't tell you that.
Or the Most High don't mind me smoking and drinking.
He did not tell you that. I mean, we could see in the scriptures where he wants for us to be sober-minded. He wants for us to be sober. And so when we think about the idea, it's one thing, you know, to have a few libations. But it's another thing altogether when you getting yourself in a situation where you just totally out of commission.
Yeah.
And people sit up here and they just drinking till they just
Drunk.
gone, out of here, blacking out.
Yeah.
Using drugs.
What did I say to you yesterday? I don't even remember. I did that? No, I didn't. You ever had that conversation? Well, I know that you've never had that conversation. But I shamedly could say that I've had that conversation before. I said, what? I did what? Where? When? You don't even know what you do. Like, the Most High don't want you like that.
No.
He don't want you like that.
No.
I mean, we can be jolly and all of that.
But not like that. Yeah,
But
I did it.
that's not. That's
I did it too. You know what I mean?
you've had that conversation.
Absolutely.
I said, what? What did I do? What did I do? That does that make sense to be saying that? Like,
No.
what did I do? You should know what you did.
Right.
You was there.
You know you messed up.
You
when
was
got
conscious.
upset.
But
There's
that-
no ifs, ands, or buts
But
about
that's
that.
a blessing that you were even able to answer that question, because there's some people that go down that road
Yeah, don't come back.
and they don't make it
Yeah.
back. They
Yeah.
don't get to answer that question. What
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Most High brought me out.
Yeah, the Most High was merciful.
He brought me out. I'm at the point now where, you know, I had me a few adult beverages and then, that's the end right there. That's it. Boom.
It's even
Done.
worse when you ask him, "What did I do to your mom?" Mom, what did I do, Mom?
Wow.
Yeah, that's my story I had. I was like, "What?"
Saying all that just to say now, we could know on this side of things how the Most High wants for us to act and behave.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Because he's given us he's given us clear instructions
Absolutely.
as to what it is that he wants for us to be doing. And so when we think about the idea of thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven, we supposed to be out here doing his will in the earth as it is in heaven.
Yes.
But if we don't know what that will is, then we can't be out here doing it.
We looking like the world then.
We looking like the world.
Yep.
All right, so let's go back over to Numbers. I just wanted to bring out in chapter 8, the fact that there was a cleansing thing that happened, right? And so when we want to hear from the Most High, we want to be connected to the Most High, there has to be a cleansing. We want to be connected with the Most High, there has to be sacrifice. We have to be out here giving up things. We got to be out here saying no to this or to that.
Yeah.
These things that are contrary to the Most High. All right, let's go back to Numbers. So. Numbers 8. We looked at the cleansing. Let's go down. Let's go down. Let's actually go over to chapter. Let's actually go over to 9 and read. Okay, let's start reading at verse 1. Oh, hold on a second. Chapter 9.
Yah spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai in the first new moon of the second year after they had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, saying, Now let the children of Israel perform the Pesach at its appointed time on the 14th day of this new moon between the evenings. Perform it at its appointed time according to all its laws and right rulings. You perform it. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel to perform the Pesach. So they performed the Pesach on the 14th day of the first new moon between the evenings in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yah commanded Moshe. So the children of Israel did. But there were men who were defiled for being of a man, so that they were not able to perform the Pesach on that day. So they came before Moshe and Aaron that day, and those men said to him, We are defiled for the being of a man. Why are we withheld from bringing near the offering of Yahweh at its appointed time among the children of Israel? And Moshe said to them, Wait, let me hear what Yah commands concerning you. And Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, When any male of you, of your generations, is unclean for a being, or is far away on a journey, he shall still perform the Pesach of Yahweh on the 14th day of the second new moon. Between the evenings they perform it. With unleavened bread and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. They do not leave of it until morning, and they do not break a bone of it, according to all the laws of the Pesach. They perform it. But the man who is clean and is not on a journey and has failed to perform the Pesach, that same being shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of Yahweh at his appointed time. That man bears his sin. And when a stranger sojourns among you, then you shall perform the Pesach of Yahweh. He shall do according to the law of the Pesach and according to its right ruling. You have one law both for the stranger and the native of the land.
Okay, very good. So we look over here, we see something interesting that happens where, first of all, the Most High wants for the Passover to be celebrated in the wilderness. Okay? Even though when he gave the initial command, he said, when you get into the land, do this. Right? But for whatever reason, he wanted for these people to do the Passover in the wilderness. But you had to be clean, though. Right? You had to be clean in order to do it. You had to be clean in order to do it. And all of the things that went along with the Passover, right? Which one thing we know, if we go back to Exodus chapter 12, is circumcision. Right? So circumcision is part of keeping the Passover. You had to be part of Israel in order to take the Passover. It just was one of those things. But he said, if you was defiled at that time, you could do a second Passover. The following month, you could do a second Passover. Right? And so what I was thinking about when we look at this again is going along with what we was already talking about in terms of these other things over here is that the Most High, I mean, it's just at this point, you know, we can know that the Most High has parameters for his people.
Yeah.
Right? He has parameters. He has leniency as well. He's not going to say, well, you know, you unclean, then you guilty. Right? He said if you're unclean, whenever we have in the first Passover, it's no problem. I'll make provisions for there to be a second Passover for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you clean, you better be here or you cut off. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
And it was real cut and dry back in those days.
You cut off. But we saying that just to say that he has these things that, you know, we are able to look and understand them from a spiritual perspective and the spiritual significance of these things. But if we're not tapped into the spirit, these things is foolishness to us. You want me to do what? Like, why is this such a big deal? Like, why is it such a big deal that I do this? Like, it's just a thing. What?
Yeah, they want to treat, you know, holy things like it's, you know, like, oh, it's common. They want to bring it down to be common. Oh, what? What's the big deal?
But he's giving you this thing, and he's putting with it that if you fail to perform it, you're going to be cut off from among the people. And so, you know, again, when we look at this, again, we have to be able to see with our spiritual eyes and know, you know what we're able to gain from these things over here. And so, you know, when we look at this, for instance, again, you know, it makes me think about, you know, people, you know, thoughts about, you know, Pesach, the Passover now. You know, we're not in the land, so how are we supposed to keep Passover? Well, he made up this whole situation happens in the scenario that these people weren't in the land whenever they was commanded to keep this Passover over here. They was in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wasn't able to keep this Passover over here in the wilderness, then they was going to be cut off. If they missed it for a good reason in terms of being unclean, you know, he said that there could be a second Passover. But even still, inside of that, there are rules and parameters. And again, he's not jumping around. This is the way that he's given these scriptures, and he talks to us ending out this chapter with here, let's finish up this chapter here, Numbers 9:15, because we want to bring us all together here.
It says, and on the day that the dwelling place was raised up, the cloud covered the dwelling place, the tent of the witness from evening until morning. It was above the dwelling place, like the appearance of fire. That's crazy, man. This cloud, man, it's so much. This is saying so much, like current times, like that cloud. But during the day it was a cloud, and at night it looked like fire.
Mm-hmm.
But continuing, thus, it was continually the cloud covered it by day, and appearance of fire by night. And whenever the cloud was taken up, from above the tent, after the children of Israel would depart, in the place where the cloud dwelt, there the children of Israel would camp. And the mouth of Yah, the children of Israel departed, and the command of Yah ever they camped. They remained camped as long as earth, the cloud dwelt above the dwelling place. Did I read that right?
No, this is not part of it.
That's not part. Yeah, them lands. Yeah, because I'm like, it's perfectly lined up. So I'm like, I'm trying to cut it off mentally, but it keeps slipping in there sometime. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna read the whole verse again.
The whole verse was you on.
18.
Is that which one you was on? Yeah, start at 18.
Oh, okay. At the mouth of Yahweh, the children of Israel departed. At the command of Yahweh, they camped. They remained camped as long as the cloud dwelt above the dwelling place. Even when the cloud lingered many days above the dwelling place, the children of Israel guarded the charge of Yah and did not depart. And so it was when the cloud was above the dwelling place a few days, according to the mouth of Yah, they camped, and according to the mouth of Yah, they would depart. So it was when the cloud dwelt only from evening until morning. When the cloud was taken up in the morning, then they departed, whether by day or by night. Whenever the cloud was taken up, they departed. Whether 2 days or a new moon, or a year that the cloud lingered above the dwelling place to dwell upon it, the children of Israel camped and did not depart. But when it was taken up, they departed. I'll keep going. At the mouth of Yah they camped, and at the mouth of Yah they departed. They guarded the charge of Yahweh at the mouth of Yahweh by the hand of Moshe.
Okay, very good. So we see over here where it talks about the movement of Israel. The movement of Israel. Where they moved according to when the Most High said move. If he didn't say move, then the people didn't move. If the Most High said move, then he did move. If he took up the cloud, he said whenever the cloud is taken up, they departed. When they just stayed there, they lingered. Right? Whether it was 2 days or a month or a year or whatever. They moved when the Most High said move. And so again, when we think about this from a spiritual perspective, we think about the idea of our steps and our actions and our movements and our decision making processes and all of these things being dictated by the mouth of the Most High. It's necessary for us first to be able to know what he might say. Again, we must first have that light in us to be able to distinguish the difference between light and darkness. They had the Most High say, this fire and this cloud, that's me. And so when you see it, you follow it. Right? But they had to have that understanding first and foremost. And so when we think about the spirit of the Most High that comes and lives and dwells in us, in order to be able to move by it, we have to know what it is that he would say. And we have to go through the things that Israel goes through in the Torah. Like, if we're going to do the work of the Most High, that there's a cleansing that's involved. If we're going to do the work of the Most High, there's offerings that's involved. We think about what we see with the pattern that Yeshua has put forth, and the picture that we see with immersions, right? There's a cleansing. There's a cleansing right at the face of this thing, right at the beginning, a washing, right? That's exemplifying the fact that there's things that I was doing that I'm not going to be doing anymore. Right? There's things that's on me that I need off of me so that I can move forward. There's things that have been holding me back all of this time that I need to wash off of me so that I'm able to progress. Right? The priest, he started all over again. The priest probably started off with something like this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He probably started off with one of these joints right here. But if the Most High was to say to me right now, you have to cut that thing off and start over again, I'd be like, what? This thing is touching gloriousness. Right? That in of itself is a humbling to just have to. I wonder if you think they cut their eyebrows off? They said they cut their hair off.
I'm thinking that, yeah.
You think it just was everything off?
We were just talking about this.
Like, that's a humbling thing. Like, if you...
We was talking about with the women. If they took women from some other place, they had to cut their nails, cut their hair. And it made me think about the oldest part of the body and the part that grows the fastest. Or the things that grow the fastest out of you. Or the things that got contact with it. Like, why would you have to cut your hair? We were just talking about that. But yeah, probably.
It's a humbling thing.
Bald.
It's a humbling thing.
Then you know what it made me think about was the Matrix when Neo woke up in that thing and how bald he was.
Yeah, he was clean. He didn't have no eyebrows. I don't think he did.
Nothing.
Yep, he had nothing.
Nothing. Just nothing. Just came out with nothing.
Naked.
Yep.
It's a humbling thing, but in that, I'm saying that we see this picture of humility as we begin to cleanse ourselves and follow after the will of the Most High. Cleansing, washing, humbling, fasting. Let's go over to Matthew. Matthew 9. Matthew chapter 9. Let's see here. Let's read from 14 to 17.
It says
Hold on 1 second. Put it up. Okay, go ahead.
And the top ones of John came to him saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your top ones do not fast?" And Yeshua said to them, "Are the friends of the bridegroom able to mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days shall come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then they shall fast."
Here, let's just stop right there for now. So, these people sitting up here talking to Yeshua and his disciples about them, they fast all the time. The Pharisees, and John the Baptist and those people. They always fasting. That's part of their situation. What's up with Yeshua and them disciples? Don't be fasting. What's up with that? Yeshua, like, I'm right here with you. What y'all got? You don't got fast. I'm right here.
Exactly.
But when he ain't there,
Right.
That's gonna be a whole other situation.
You fast to get closer to him, but if he's right next to him,
You don't need to.
So we ain't near it. So to get closest, we gotta fast.
And when we think about this, and it's just a pattern of things where we see this thing happen over and over again, different ways, but it's giving you the same thing in terms of this humbling, this sacrifice, this great sacrifice that's being brought by those that are beginning to worship the Most High. And fasting is a sacrifice because you no longer feeding yourself, your physical self, right? You feeding your spiritual self. But we could think about it from many perspectives because it's not just about. It don't only have to be about food necessarily,
Right.
because we talking about the idea of transitioning from things. So there's things that you have to stop doing. Fasting from doing those things because they taking you away from the Most High. And you have to be willing to do all of those things so that you be able to hear what it is that the Most High is trying to say to you. And then look what he say. Look how he keep on going over here in verse 16. He hit the people with a little parable at the end.
And no one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch pulls away from the garment, and the tear is made worse. Neither do they put new wine into old wineskins, or else the wineskins burst, and the wine is spilled, and the wineskins are ruined. But they put new wine into fresh wineskins, and both are preserved.
Okay, so we have to be like these priests and start from scratch.
Yeah.
You got to start from the beginning. You starting all over again. All that stuff that you had, that stuff don't do you no good. You got to get rid of that stuff and get some new stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Or else the whole thing don't even work. If I put some new wine in some old wine skins, it swells. The thing swells and stretches. Well, the old wine skins is already swelled already. They can't swell no more. When I put more stuff in it, they're gonna burst, and then it's all ruined. And so when we think about, and this is what people need to get, is that when we think about, coming to the Most High, coming to Yeshua, we got to be like these wineskins, where all that stuff that that swelled your body up already, that swelled your spirit man up already, that swelled your mind up already, you got to put that stuff over to the side and start again. Because the two things don't go with each other. Right? This new knowledge that you about to get is foolishness to your old way of thinking. You not familiar with the will and the ways of the Most High, the way that He wants for you to be. And so you got to think about things in a whole brand new way. He telling the people they got to start fresh. They got to start. He gonna tell them in another way. You got to be like a little baby. You got to be like a little child, even though you're a grown man. But this is the same. This is the same lesson over here. You telling it in a different way. And so when we think about all of this stuff, when we think about all of the things that we see over in Numbers, and the way that Israel is coming together and consecrating the center of worship, where sacrifice is a thing, right? And extreme dedication is a thing. They had to sit up there and wait. Like if you was the first one to go, you had to sit up there and wait and almost 2 weeks to get to the place of this thing being finished. But you're all in. It's dedication. When we sit up here and say that we want to follow after the Most High, this thing is a journey. It's a journey. And the world wants for us to have what we want to get instantly. It's having this. It's of the spirit of the world to want something in its totality right now, because nothing comes like that. It take a human being 40 weeks to develop and come out. And then these little things, when they come out, they can't even function by themselves for another 20 years. Nothing that the Most High make is something that's just like done.
Yeah, everything got a
What
process.
do He make that's like that?
Nothing. Everything got a process. Even
Stuff that He make is like, it's a process that it might be different lengths.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, even the fastest stuff you can think of, if you break it down, you be like, wow, it was a lot of steps to get to what seemed quick. Everything got some process.
Stuff that seemed quick, there's underlying things that's happening that you don't even know about.
Exactly.
And so
you can't skip none of them steps.
You can't skip none of the steps. And so we seeing all types of steps over here when we look at this process of being obedient people that seek to do the will of the Most High. And in every single one of those things, there's self-denial involved. There's sacrifice involved. There's discipline involved. These people probably, them people brought their favorite bull to be sacrificed. But you can't hold nothing back from the Most High. You got to be ready and willing to give Him your all. And He don't want no used stuff either. He don't want these old. You gonna sit up here? Well, I gotta give Him this, but I gotta put this wine in these. I'm gonna put this wine in these old wineskins and use that, because these new ones, I'm saving them ones. He don't want that. That's not good for nobody, right? I've experienced putting patches on clothes and the things not working properly, because the things don't. They not on the same. They not in the same. I don't want to say growth pattern, but they not on the same frequency. Let's just say. You got to get things that's like, right? And so he's Yeshua over here when he deals with this thing over here, and you know, helping us to understand these spiritual truths, and understanding that, you know, we have to we got to get rid of these things that's you know, that's in our mind, that's going to be holding us back. And this is I would say is one of the probably most, it's the most difficult, and it's the most common thing that you find with dealing with people, where I guess at the end of the day it's really pride. It's really pride that's you know, that comes into play, you know. And it's hard for me to kind of think about the place where people are, where it's almost like a fence straddling type of a situation. Because I remember when I was wicked, and I enjoyed wickedness, but I don't remember a time where I didn't want to follow after righteousness once I said that I was going to follow after righteousness. Like, I was seeking to try to allow the spirit inside of me to remove things from me once I made a choice. Right? Once I said that I was going to do what the Most High wanted for me to do, then my life began to be minus certain things. People make these professions that they want to follow after the Almighty without thinking about all of the things that are involved in it.
Yeah.
And I just want to let people know there's a lot involved in it. And you need to actually count the cost before you say that you want to walk in this life.
Yeah.
Because this life ain't for the by very definition, it's not wishy-washy. Right? When we think about this thing that we do, and we call it the faith. Yeah, I know this couple over here. Yeah, they're in the faith. The faith is about steadfastness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not about wishy-washiness. It's not about wavering. Right? You can fall in the faith, but you're moving forward. If I many times, I've misstepped walking up some steps. But I'm still trying to get up the steps. I don't just turn around and go back down the steps because I trip or something.
Right.
I'm going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I could fall, but I get back up.
Mm-hmm.
Who says that they're gonna go somewhere? Oh, let's go out here to Myrtle Beach or something. Oh, we did this. We was going to the Feast of Tabernacles one year, and the tire blew. Was we supposed to turn around after we got our tire fixed and go back home? We was going somewhere. We got our tire fixed and we we went to our destination.
I was thinking about that shooting range trip last year.
Oh no! We were shooting some guns.
I was about to give up.
We were shooting some guns.
I said we need to just go back.
No,
See,
we
that's
gonna
not
find
how
that.
we were gonna find where the place was at because we gonna
That's what
bust
we
some
set out
guns.
to do. We wasn't going back until
We couldn't find it, so we just gonna go back. No, we gonna find this
it
place.
could have been twilight hours. We done pulled some flashlights out or something, bitch. It's like
And so how much more so when we following after Yeshua HaMashiach? We got to find a way. And when we look at these scriptures over there, all it does is just help us to see that there's a lot involved. That it's not a finger snap. It's not a light switch. It's not a button that you push. It's a process. There's all types of things that's involved in this.
And what's deep when we talking about this process, and when she was talking about entering at that narrow gate and walking that narrow path, because that path is the process.
The path is the process.
And he said, "Be few. There's many out here, but it's few that's gonna find that path, because everybody gonna let their ego bump them out the way of getting in that gate and walk." And then once you start walking that narrow path, your ego can just take you off it so quick.
One day I'm going to record what it's like leaving the site at this job
I can imagine.
because it is crazy to see thousands of human beings, men and a few women, rushing to get to this little pathway. We're probably shoulder to shoulder, probably 5 men could stand straight next to each other. Like that's how wide it is. But there's hundreds of men that are teaming into this one area right at a specific time and going, and you better go. Because I feel like if you fall, you're going to get trampled by these people trying to get out of this place.
Is that for real? It sounds like, when they show people get on them trains in China.
It's like that.
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
It's just like that.
Wow. That's
But-
crazy.
Saying that just to say, if you fall, you're not just going to lay there. You still trying to get home.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get up out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to understand that this life that we live is just like that.
Yeah.
And then this life even prepares us for these types of things. And for us to not think that this thing that's the most important thing in the whole existence is not more is not the most important thing that we could ever be out here doing. Like it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing, but it's also a rewarding thing because you're drawing close to the one that made you. But we have to understand that there's so much involved in it. If we would just do the things, right? And it all starts with just seeking to know and understand who the Most High is. The first thing that he showed for Moses to talk about was the light. The light is Yeshua. The light is Yeshua. The menorah is a perfect picture of Yeshua, whose light never goes out, but the light is always there, giving you a path to be able to see. We have to know Yeshua so that we're able to walk in this journey and do the things that the Most High has for us to do. There's a lot of things involved in it. There's many sacrifices and things that we got to give up. You know, we have to do the things that's necessary to kill our carnal man, and whether it's starving them to death or whether it's retraining your mind or whatever it may be. But there's a process to this that we're able to successfully make it through if we allow for the light that's inside of us, who is Yeshua, to shine and guide our every step that we make. Yeshua is the law humanized. He is the word of the Most High. Mm-hmm. And so we have to have that word on the inside of us to lead and guide us. And when the word is not that much inside of us, we have to have people around us that got the word inside of them that we're able to look to for guidance. That's how this whole thing was set up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody have any thoughts or additions to any of these things we're talking about over here?
I'd just like to say, just follow the process, respect the process.
Respect the process.
Honor the process, and it'll get you to the place that you'll like the person you'll become. When you allow the Most High's process to work in you, trust me, you'll love the person that you become.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of love myself. I mean, I can think about all the terrible things that I did, before and after. This guy's way better than that guy.
Yeah.
Way better.
Absolutely.
Way better. Right? And it don't got anything to do with me. It got to do with the light that's inside of me that didn't even originate from me. It came from Messiah, from Yeshua HaMashiach, coming, living, and dwelling on the inside of me, causing me to do the will of the Most High. And so that's all we want to be able to do, is just get close to Messiah and let him rule and reign in your life. And when you do that, it's transformative.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that being said, I guess we'll be done for right now with talking about these things. Y'all willing, we will be back on next Shabbat and continue with the Torah portion. Tomorrow is the big day for the Adorning the Bride Women's Conference. All the ladies have done lots of work, so hopefully everything goes okay with that. Hopefully everybody is registered. Hopefully everybody subscribed to the channel. Share the video, like the video. Make sure that you hit the notification so that we can you could know when all the things are going down. And y'all willing, we'll have some new things to show you moving forward. All right, so that being said, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And yes, starts tomorrow. Yes, Shabbat Shalom. And y'all willing, we'll be back on next week.
Shalom. You are invited to the 2021 Adorning the Bride Virtual Hebrew Women's Conference. This free event will be hosted on the Zoom platform August 1st through the 4th, 2021. Registration is only available on Eventbrite. Either see the link in the description section of this video or simply enter Adorning the Bride on eventbrite.com to register for the conference. Registration includes an ORIB coupon code and a free digital download prayer journal. This year's conference will feature 5 dynamic sessions from 8 amazing women of Yah. Topics include the process of becoming the bride, they are watching, Hebraic motherhood, it was more than a bath, the comforting of the bride, Titus 2, the inner adorning of the bride, and the process of promises. We welcome all Bible-believing women to come and be adorned. Register now. Please share with your friends and family.